I meant a minute, but I meant 45 seconds.
We've got that now.
Everybody can please find your seats again. Mike's going to give So this is pretty straightforward. It's quick. But I want to start off just by asking a simple question. How do you remember structural engineering? Right? Everybody in the room clearly can. You have this massive amount of knowledge of codes and past projects, how to deal with clients, and you can recall it like that, but how? It's a question that was in school I started asking around. It's a straightforward question, but it's awkward to answer. I don't know, I just know. But as I started to realize the question's hard to answer, the reason I realized I needed to start a project to try to answer it. So this here is just an opportunity to just start the project. Just a quick outline. I appreciate SEI for giving me the 15 minutes just to throw this out to the group. So this is and I know not to hold up lunch, right? So priorities, right? So I just want to run through a quick introduction, offer the 3 ideas that kind of underpin the project, offer what I think a problem is, what I think a solution could be, say the whole thing hinges really on your help, and have the thing breathe for Q&A. As an aside, I was also Chris was very generous to say, man a table. You only have really 15 minutes to present the idea, but have a table, have people come by and talk. So I encourage everybody to come, take deliverables, postcards. And the thing I would ask everybody to do is take one of these little postcards and just post it up in your office somewhere, just to serve as a reminder for this. Maybe 3 weeks from now you'll think of something and I'll send it in. So, take the stuff. It's here for you. A quick introduction. My name is Mike Barron. I am an upstate New Yorker, originally from Albany, New York. Graduated from RPI in 2006 and worked and lived in the Boston area for 7 years. Went to Tufts University for a master's, worked for 3 different Boston firms, and then in 2013 my wife and I wanted to relocate back home, met Jill Ladaro at the Chasing Companies, and I've been working there as a project structural engineer ever since. Again, engineering education is a thing that I feel strongly about. I know a lot of people in the room do. A lot of people are working on it. So here are the 3 ideas. 1, expertise is remembering. You're talking to Mr. Biggs, talking about masonry. You ask him a question, he can just recall it. It's at the tip of his tongue. And it's not necessarily about intelligence. People of equal intelligence can be experts in different things. It's not about experience necessarily or education. It's the ability to go open your mind and recall what you need at will. Trying to remember what I was going to say. The underlying thing here is to offer remembering is key. That's what the point. I say expertise. If you're a structural engineer expert, your ability to retain and recall things quickly and at will. Second idea is memory is a skill that can be learned. It's like swimming. You're kind of born with the ability to sort of kind of swim and not drown, but you can learn techniques and practice them to become a better swimmer. There was a book, Moonwalking with Einstein, from about 5 years ago. Did anybody read? It's the story of a 25-year-old English major who's literally unemployed and living in his parents' basement. He's like, I got to do something to get out of my parents' basement. So on NPR, he heard about these memory competitions, so he was just going to write an article saying, I went to a memory competition, this is what it's all about. And 3 or 4 years later, he won it. Memorizing pi out to all these different digits or presidents' middle names and things. He found the dirty little secret is it's easy and straightforward to learn. The Romans figured it out. They can give 4-hour-long speeches without paper. People can memorize pi. And the main takeaway is our brains are evolved to remember images, places, and stories. Like, I would guess everybody can close their eyes right now and almost picture their childhood home. The front door, the kitchen, their bedroom, you can recall that. techniques try to encode these memories on places that you can recall. It's a skill that can be learned. And we don't really teach how to remember. We present information and it's tested upon in a very logical and well-organized fashion. And the assumption is you remember it, but we really don't teach how to remember it at the same time. Like, kindergarten teachers know you can't just present 26 letters to kids, test them on them and have them remember it. You have to give them like the ABC song to remember it too. Like if you were to ask me, like, what's the 13th letter of the alphabet, I would embarrassingly go A, B, C, D, E, F. I go into my mind, know where that song is, and there's information packed in there too. I say we don't teach how to remember. A lot of educators do and try to. It varies, but this is the accreditation criteria for a civil engineering program set nationwide, and it lists out A through K. A student outcome should be the ability to apply math. You should be able to design and conduct experiments. You should understand that your system needs to be within the means of economic, political, ethical, manufacturability criteria. You need to function on a team. You need to communicate effectively. You need to be ethical. We lay out all the goals for a student here, but nowhere does it said that the student should be able to remember what they learned later on. It's assumed, but if we're going to assume that, the ability to communicate effectively should be assumed too. So we don't teach how to remember, but we can and we should. So those are the three ideas. Expertise, remembering. Memory is a skill that can be learned. We don't teach how to remember. I love graphs, right? So here's how I'm going to describe the problem as I see it quickly. Here's life, right? There's more to life than this, but for our purposes, okay, you're born, you die. When you're born, you really don't know anything. You're a novice. Something happens that turns you into becoming an expert, okay?
That's an engineer's life.
Yeah, it's what it is. So, and this takes what, right now, 10,000 hours, 10 years, and 4 years of schooling, maybe more experience. We have, takes 10 years, something, eats up a big chunk of life is the point. But experts through institutions like this, through education institutions, like RPI, Chris Letchford's here, try to take the expertise that's already been generated and find some way to transfer it back to novices to kind of get them up to speed quick. But it's kind of inefficient. And because people forget. Forgetfulness is the thing that just keeps dropping all out. But anyway, so there's three problems cooked into this thing. Problem one, expertise remember, but we're all going to kick the bucket. We have all this expertise in our minds, took years and years to create, but sooner or later, we're all going to go. And it's a huge waste. So that's kind of a bummer. Second problem is, beginners, novices, they try to learn. They're bright. It's not about intelligence, but it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You just forget. Like, I graduated from schools and programs. I got A's and B's, only B's, but I couldn't apply on the first day. Remember my first boss, I challenged his abilities to what's a section modulus of a rectangle of? He said what it is. That's not right. He's like, you're forgetting, Mike. We forget too many things until we learn how to remember. And problem 3 is right now we don't teach how to remember. So what's the solution? It's going to seem simple, right? Okay, step 1. Well, ask experts how they remember. They clearly can. Ask them how they do it. Transfer that in some sort of meaningful way. There's a little bit of a ... here, and then teach students how to remember like an expert. So if we can do these 3 things, I think it'll go a long way to help out our profession. Short window. This whole presentation is aimed at this first part, also because this project's been in existence for about a month. Okay, so this is the first opportunity to talk out loud about it. So asking experts how to remember is a goal. So I'll kind of open it back up and let it breathe a little bit. Does anybody want to take a step? How do you remember? Does anybody have something they want to offer? Repetition.
Right. Experience.
Makes sense to me. Like, you just got to keep going at it, go through a lot of battle wounds and training. Yeah.
I've rarely met anybody who's learned from success.
It's true. Like, you're right. It's like, I almost do these books on like failures, and those are the ones that stick out. Yeah.
I had a thought, but I actually want to hang on his coattails. I was on a review panel for that course in structural stability, and the whole first chapter, all the state engineers are taking is called Engineering for Stability and Bridge Superstructure During Construction. Big, 4-day course. But the very first chapter is on the great bridge failures of history. And actually, a lot of the older people may remember this, but I actually hadn't seen this, and I graduated in like '87. They used to, every civil engineer who came out of structural school back then, they used to wear a ring, and there's the order of the. There you go.
I see.
That the first chapter of that course talks about the Quebec bridge failure and how a lot of the original rings were part of the bridge. That was one of the worst.
Canadian ring still out.
The Canadian, yeah. Oh, there you go. Huh? So that's one thing. Remember the failures. If all the engineers on that panel agree, we need to get the engineers to appreciate. What makes it interesting is they all start understanding, oh, if I don't remember section modulus right, and I don't have the right exponent, the bridge could fall down and somebody dies. It really scares them, and then they go, I better pay attention. Really interesting.
What are those three things people remember? Images, places, and stories. Stories, stead.
Right in that first chapter is like bridge failure, and it just personalizes it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The thing that I wanted to say was, I don't know what Rensselaer RPI does in terms of co-op programs, so I guess whoever's here from there could maybe. I went to Cornell, and the only internships, we could do a co-op once in a while, but we've had a series of Drexel University engineering students, and they come to us. I've had some freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and it's interesting. I find the structural commit curriculum, the statics, the dynamics, all that stuff, it felt a little weaker because we don't think the same now. They don't think the same now as we did. And I'm getting asked questions. They understand it, but like you said, they don't necessarily remember it. But if I could I'll share it in about a second. But what I thought was interesting, I'm really impressed with Drexel's program because we've talked about it, all the engineers down at High. They come out and we force them to work in their field as engineers. And we challenge them not to be going out and counting production. We have them do structural engineering problems and see the fruit of their work, and they go back. And they find they either like it or they go into something else. But they remember because they study, then they go work. Then they study, now they have a screwy semester. It's almost like a trimester thing. But they go back, and by the time they're a senior, they've already worked at 4 places. It's crazy. And I think they're much better engineers. I'll shut up now.
No, please. I've worked alongside people from programs like Wentworth in Boston. They were crackerjack. RPI, I love RPI. I'm from RPI. I was a little fuzzy coming out. That was in 2006. Chris Ledford came and generally turned the structures department from 4 people or 5 people a year now to half of it. That experience of being fuzzy graduating influenced me towards this. Like, it wasn't that crisp. I'll offer these couple different examples of how to remember, then I'll kind of wrap it up for lunch and such. Do you have any memorable analogies? You take the Sears Tower, right? Designed as a bundled tube. The behavior is just wrapped up as like that. Or a 3-sided box. There's it's easy to remember and a lot of stuff's cooked into it. Do you have any memorable analogies? If you do, jot them down, send them in, or give me a call, find some way to get those memorable analogies in one spot. Michael Jackson is the one that stuck with me. and I said this at RPI, and there's more than one building that I've designed with this in mind. But like Michael Jackson Leaning and Smooth Criminal, there's no cables on them here, right? It's got everything that you need to know about structural engineering kind of cooked into it, right? You know, his center of mass is over some distance. There's a moment on his feet. It has to be resisted by some force couple, pushes and pulleys. The pulleys, there are pegs coming out of the stage, and the shoe's got a V-notch to it. So he kind of hooks in, and then you can lean way over and come back. But I find when you first look at a building, if you picture how Michael Jackson's standing on it, it sounds goofy. You can quickly kind of get an idea of where forces are going to be. And I found if I'm mentoring students, maybe they're still fuzzy on what they learned 3 years ago in statics, but you say Michael Jackson, it's memorable. It's a memorable analogy. Like I said before, stories. These are just industry famous ones. We remember resonance through Galloping Gertie, Comaneros. We remember engineering ethics and quartering wins by Bill and Measure's Citicorp Tower. CA and detailing failures by Hyatt Regency. And those are just the famous ones. We all have to have war stories and smart practices that we remember that has a moral at the end that we should tap into more to feedback to people learning in the beginning. This was a good one. And actually, I appreciate impact or feedback I've gotten already from the group. I floated this idea out to a couple different people, and I've gotten some good feedback. And Tim Schroeder was helping me move through some of the original concepts. And he threw out a clarifying thing, or how do you get from A to B? In other words, we all pride ourselves in being able to get through structural engineering tasks pretty well. But how can you actually get from A to B in these little tasks? I'll give an example. You're given a schematic design architect's layout, and you've got to design and lay out a column grid. It's a straightforward task, but a lot goes into it. Like, what things gets triggered in your mind? It's second nature to you, it's subconscious, but how do you actually kind of chart how to get from A to B? No, this may be different for everybody in the room, but if you can sketch that out, send it in, over time, we get 10 people from over here, 10 people from over here. Something I think will emerge that'll be useful for an entry-level engineer to see. It's like, look, this is how engineering experts can get from A to B. So one of the things I also have over there are just 17 paper, just a sketch pad. So during some lunch break, it could even be this lunch break, you look for something to do while you're eating, or anytime, sketch out a couple A to B's, call it a puzzle, right? But just, if you think that something is worthy of remembering, send it in, I'll try to collect it. Lastly, and this is kind of the broader idea, but it's hardest to get to, is a mental map. Like somewhere in your mind, you've mapped out how everything gets connected. It's very hard to work that problem backwards. It's time consuming, but what I found is you have like one idea in structural engineering, and you kind of start to sketch to yourself, oh, what connects to that? Oh, then what connects to that? And over days or weeks or career, your map grows from what you have at an undergrad up to when you're a principal of a firm. No two people's maps are going to be the same, but the idea is if we collect enough of them all together, put them on a table, then maybe we can all together get to one that's, well, this is one that kind of is how a structural engineering expert views the discipline. Maybe that becomes useful to teach later. So that's the pitch. I couldn't do it alone. My map is specific to me. It has some use, but it's not going to be applicable to everybody on the planet. We're better off. I started the project just to ask everybody to contribute theirs, because I think a better answer will result from humility, right? I can't do it. Yeah. People alone can't do it. We can probably do it together. So I just to rally the idea around something, I started the Expertise Project Benefit Corporation. PO box and bank account that now has $12 in it, right? But that's what this is. If you please take information on it, call me, go to the website, email me. Just over time, it'll hopefully turn into a thing. So I don't know if it hit 50 minutes or not, but come on by.
Thanks, Mike. We're gonna break for lunch. I know we're skipping the SEI awards and officer installation, but it's time for lunch, late lunch, and we'll get back to that after. Okay? Thanks, guys.